What is up, everyone? We're back and race season is right around the corner. So you know what that means. We got Sunburn here on the hoist. We got a lot of work to do to get her ready for the 2025 race season. In this video, we're going to be installing this awesome BMR upper and lower torque box reinforcement kit that you can see I've got here, as well as their fully adjustable upper control arms. Don't worry, those are supposed to come out. So this is everything you get in the upper and lower reinforcement kit, as well as your hardware. And then I got these separate. These are the upper adjustable control arms, because I've already got these lower tubular control arms in here. And I figured, well, I don't really want to throw the stock ones back in, so I'll put some adjustables up there, and eventually we'll get some adjustables for the lowers. I got those used for cheap. But yeah, it is time to officially finally reinforce these torque boxes. As you can see, they are trying to rip out of the body. So yeah, and the whole, like this whole chassis is bending here. This used to be flat. It is now curved up. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, it is not happy. So it's time to get this all reinforced, and we're gonna do the lowers as well. Lowers aren't too bad, but yeah, so we're gonna get to work here and start by just getting these upper control arms pulled out. All right, we got our old control arms out there. So now it is time to put our cross brace in that goes from there, crosses over to there. So gonna do that and then see what the next step is. I think then we put our supports that go from here up to the frame here, and those things are awesome. So let's get to her here. Well, figured I'd show you where we're at while we let some paint dry. As you can see here, we've got our brace in back there. We've got our new adjustable tubular upper control arms in there. It was a bit of a hassle to get. I just noticed I jammed that in there actually. There we go. That's all scratched now. But to get this bar in here, I had to take out the bump stop there. Yeah, I had to take this bump stop out. It says in these in the instructions, you just have to slot these holes. You can see those ones are already a little bit slotted. Might just have to slot it some more just so you can slide it back just a bit. So I may try that, or we'll see. And then this guy just had to drill the rivets out of this guy to get it out of there. I can probably put it back in there now if I just snake it up in there and then bolt it in, but I just couldn't get the brace in there with it in. But yeah, not too bad. And then the bolts were fairly tricky to get in there. They just were really long and they're hitting there, you know. But that just goes to show you how bent everything is up in here, because I'm sure they should go in really easy, because I noticed I already put this next brace in there too, and I'll show you guys in a sec, but it's way off as well. And it's not the kit's fault, it's the bent chassis. I just cleaned up the spots where the next braces are gonna sit, and then put some paint on them just to keep them from rusting, letting that dry, and then we'll throw those next set of braces in. As you can see, we've got our holes drilled in both sides, on both sides. And this kit's pretty sweet because it actually comes with these spacers that you slide in there. So after you drill the holes, you see here, 3/8 holes, then you remove the reinforcement brace, and then using a step bit, open the outside hole to 9/16, right? So you open them up so you can slide these spacers in there. So that way when you tighten it up, it tightens on the spacer and doesn't pinch the frame together. So pretty sweet. And then it allows you to pull this out and clean all the metal shavings out from in between that and the frame, because there was a lot of metal shavings in there. So got all that cleaned up. Now we're just gonna drill those outer holes out to slide those spacers in, and Bob's your uncle. You wanna go play basketball? All right, guys. Well, the upper torque box reinforcement kit is complete and installed here. Looking good. Looks pretty sweet from back here. You can see it's all triangulated there. Looking good. Sides all mounted up. So there we go. Made a nice spot there on that bracket to attach the fuel lines to. As you can see, we got a pretty decent gap on this side there between the frame and that brace. And this side, it is pretty much touching the frame. And guys, that doesn't have anything to do with the kit. That is just how wore out this side is, because the driver's side always gets more torque on it. And that's just the chassis just getting all twisted. So hopefully that stops that now. But anyways, tomorrow morning we're gonna get going on our lower torque box reinforcements. Hopefully these reinforcements help us. Yeah, if you look at this side, like even just right there, it looks totally different than right there. Lots of movement. I cut this one out a bit right here because it says to cut these corners out. Like right, these corners basically out here. You may have to fit it in, it says, and I couldn't get it in there, so I cut them out, and then it still has this lip, which I didn't really want to take off. I didn't want to make it go through all that metal, because it has these little horns right here. If you look at this one, see these little horns? So I just ground those off and just set it up in there just so it fit, right? Fit nice. And if you look at this one, I have a huge gap between it and the floor. Probably not the kit's fault once again, probably the car's fault. So, but the floor plate should suck that together. I drilled 2 of the holes here because it's hard to get in with the drill to drill those other ones. So I'll bolt it in with 2 and then drill the other 2 from the top. And now we're gonna do this side. I have a feeling I'm not gonna have a problem with this side not touching the floor. I have a feeling it's gonna be hitting the floor for show. Alright, so we've got both our lowers installed and they got the top plates on here, and I've just prepped them all for welding. I'm going to take that off quick and just put on some weld through primer that I went and bought. Never tried it before, so I'll try the weld through primer. Let's see how it is. So I'll paint this all in primer. Also, while I'm at it, I'm just going to touch up these little spots here. And then we'll weld it, and well, we'll bolt it in, of course, and then weld it. But yeah, you don't have to weld these in. It's optional. Bolting them in is fine, but obviously if you weld the outside edge, just give you a little more structural integrity there. So I'm going to do the other side next, and then we'll get to welding these all in and whatnot. Well, we're just waiting for that primer to dry. I just put our brake flex hose little bracket back in there, and our little bump stop, I just ended up cutting the front of it off. I don't know if you can see that there. Just cut where that front portion went there, as you can see, and it fits in there nicely. I think it'll be just fine like that. There might have been a world that it worked, but it's not this one, so she went to the Foxbody chop shop on that one. But yeah, I got her brake hose back on there, so I'll bring her back down now and then put those upper torque box plates in. This is what the lowers look like, just like that. Well, guys, George's here now. But I got these all bolted in here, as you saw. They say you need 2 people to do it. It can be done by yourself, but it is a bit of a chore. But those are bolted in now. I'm just going to fully tighten these down now, and then we'll weld the tops and fully tighten those. I might weld these in back here, but I'm not too sure yet. I'm just going to leave them for now, I think. Yeah, we're looking good. Well, guys, as you can see here, I got a bit sidetracked and carried away here. We have got a 12-point socket welded onto my steering column. Actually, the steering column out of a different car, because I'm getting rid of this column and steering wheel assembly and going to this column with this steering wheel. So, Lane and Jordan, Austin, Full Court, everyone came by, and we were just bull crapping, and I was like, yeah, eventually I want to do this and get rid of this column. And next thing you know, Lane's got the column pulled out of the other car, and I've got the column pulled out of this thing, and now they're all gone, and I'm stuck here trying to freaking make stuff work. So hopefully we'll make this work. I still got to weld these in, but I have got the welder out now, so hopefully that'll happen in about half an hour. Just about to clear coat our steering wheel here. You know the deal. Gotta leave her a little bit of patina on there. Oh yeah. Clear coat this guy up and let the clear coat dry and weld in those plates, and we'll be RTR. I figured you guys might want to see what I've got going on here. So, as you see, there's a bearing there and a snap ring. So we had all this, basically the other one was a bit same minus the tilt, but we had all this crud on here. And this ignition cylinder, this whole aluminum housing, actually holds the whole steering column in there and centered the shaft in the column housing. It holds it in there, centers it all up. So we had to make something for this bearing to go into and hold so that's centered. We'll see how centered it actually is once we put a steering wheel on it, of course. And then there's another bearing down here. So now this shaft, you can see her spinning up there. She's a little stiff, you know, but she's gonna get worked in there good. Now that's all spinning good, right? So we just chopped a socket down there, welded her on. It's 1 1/8 inches. I got to get a new 1 1/8 inch socket now, but I think it's going to be pretty minty. Only one way to find out. All right, guys, let's get these things welded in. Let's see how this weld-in primer works. How well this stuff works. Let's get this cleaned up here. And let's see if we can get this welder working good. Weld these bad boys in. We're hot. Yeah, that's working, but we are definitely hot. Let's turn down a little here. Let's just give her a little bit more wire speed here. That is burning in hot. Okay, here we go again. Round 2. Say that weldable primer is working pretty good. The weld doesn't look the best. Of course, I don't have my wire brush. This is what I've got for a wire brush right near me, guys. Right? That's not too shabby. It is working. Might not look the best, but it's working. You know, I've heard some people say this weldable primer sucks. So, you know, but it's working. I'm not gonna blame the... Oh, I can't see it. I'm not gonna blame the welding. I'm trying as much as I can to stay high and then drop down. Stay high, drop down. Because obviously this is 10 times as thick as the floor. So keep all your heat here, get your weld burning, and then just bring it down and then come back up, get it burned, bring it down. Obviously easier said than done. All right, guys, we just got this burned in here, you know. Tried to fill some of the crappy old weld rust holes in it and whatnot. Got a couple little decent welds on it or whatever, you know. It really doesn't matter. It's just to stiffen the chassis up a little bit. No structural integrity at all. Looks like I got a couple more little holes over there, but we'll fill those up and then we'll move over to the other side here, guys. Well, guys, this side's all welded in. I tried to run the welder a little colder, as you can see, you know, colder weld, which, you know, it just has to bond to this stuff. If you're running it so hot that it's just burning through this stuff, there's no point, right? So I ran her a little colder and it did pretty good. A couple little holes in certain little rust spots, but not too bad. So she's welded in there. And yeah, next step is just to start getting the grinder going and just grind all our junk down, right? But I don't want to bore you guys with that, just boring grinding stuff. So I'm going to get the steering column in now and see how that looks. I'm just going to just throw some primer on that because I'll just finish that up another day, just grind some of the just floor patch stuff down. If you're doing floor plates in like doing a roll cage, you're not allowed to grind any welds on your roll cage. So I did this roll cage last winter. You can see none of the welds are grounded or anything. And even the floor plate stuff, none of it is grounded. It's all welded in, right? So if you do have thin floor, what I did is I just welded in a little piece of sheet over top of the thin floor and then welded to that, right? Like if it's a little, you know, just like this. This stuff's thin. I've welded little patches in certain spots before. That's what we're burning through, right? So, but it's all good. Steering column is in and it is looking good. Sitting a little high right now. Just got to make some spacers for those studs down there, which will just give us a little bit of tilt if I put some spacers on those front studs. But just going to leave it like that for tonight. It's getting late. So just got a couple more little things to wrap up another day. So we'll see you guys back when we're working on the car again. That is going to do it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video of us installing this BMR torque box reinforcement kit. Super great kit. Highly recommend it. There's just a couple little modifications I had to make, probably mainly because of my twisted chassis. Anyways, that's going to do it. Hope you enjoyed. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one, guys.